Shalom, shalom, greetings to you all. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, wherever you are, I pray for you today that the favor of God will fill your lives. The mercies of God take hold of you. That the love of God will constrain you. As you are led and guided in the fullness of God, I pray. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, today, I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. You are filled with His life. Be filled with His life in the name of Jesus. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. That you will be filled with the fullness of God. As a child of God, that you not lack anything. In Jesus' mighty name. We bless His holy name forever. We bless His holy name forever. We have no enough words to express what we see, what we have discovered, and what is still there. We cannot exhaust all that there is in terms of goodness and kindness, as we are saying. But we bless Him for what we know so far. Even the little we know today has just moved us. Has moved us. It has stirred us to wonder. And we are still wondering, what kind of kindness is this? What kind of love is this? He drew all of us because of His goodness. His crucifixion was man's solution. His crucifixion was the answer to all men that were scattered all over the world. It was a moment of union. It was a moment of union and a moment of putting an end to the first world. It was a beautiful time, a particular moment, a special time, a special moment. It was what Jesus was looking forward to. He knew that this was going to be the end of the first world. And He knew finally that all men will be saved, will be set free, will be now belong to Him. And that is why He says in John chapter 12 verse 32 says, and if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. You know why he says to myself? Because before, people seemed to belong to someone else, and that is Adam, the first man whom all men were identified with, because it was the first creation, the first man who was created. So all men were fashioned after him. All men were likened to him. So, and this man had died, had sinned, and all men became sinners. So they were under his influence and power. So on the cross, it was the end, it was the conclusion of this man. So Jesus was excited about this. So he's so confident. And so he's saying that all men now belong to me, to myself. Oh my God. He was so excited, he couldn't wait to see all men belonging to him. It was an official statement. It was the last day that Adam will be spoken as the one who had authority over men. He was coming to his conclusion. He was ending his terror, the reign of terror, the reign of sin, the reign of the enemy, the reign of all powers that had destroyed men, and convinced him of his separation from God and the separation between man and man. You see, I'm talking about this. I'm saying that this was the climax of the history of man. This was the climax of the history of humanity. This crucifixion. He was ending the first world, the first realm of terror, the reign of sin, the reign of death. He was about to destroy death itself, as we will continue to see it in many other scriptures. So he was so excited about his crucifixion. He was so excited about his death. And that is because he knew well. He knew well what was about to happen. It is our time, and it is the right moment to also discover this. The reason why all these things were written, they were written for us, so that when we have come to the realization of what happened, oh my God, we may become also the conduits of his goodness and love towards the earth. And we also continue to reveal this, and we spread this good news all over the world. And if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. Will draw all people to myself. Will draw all people to myself. And if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. So he was so much excited because these people are going to be his. He's talking about myself. Myself. They will be separated from this old man, from this first man. They will be separated. They will be free from that tyranny. They will belong to me. They will belong to me. So this is what he's saying. They will belong to Jesus. They will belong to me. Do you know that on the cross, it was an official statement. It was a place where the earth, the world, the history itself testified of the day when man shifted from the authority and the power of the first Adam and went into the hands of Jesus Christ legally, officially. When he was born, men were joined with him. He joined with humanity. But of course, they haven't discovered this yet. So he had to conclude the whole journey on the cross. So there was something about the cross, of the lifting up, of the crucifixion on the cross. And this is what we read then in verse 33. He says, this he said, signifying by what death he would die. This he said, signifying by what death he would die. Do you realize that there was a kind of death Jesus was about to die? We are told that he said all this to signify, to reveal, to demonstrate the kind of death he was about to die. So there was this kind of death that Jesus was about to die, which is not usual, which is not common, which was significant. In the Amplified Bible, verse 33, in the Amplified Bible, he said this to signify in what manner he would die. So there was a manner, there was a way, there was a specific way Jesus was about to die. And he was then saying all those words because of that kind of death he was about to die. So he was alluding to the kind of death he was about to die, and he wanted all men to know that this is a different kind of death. My. This is a different kind of death. It was a different kind of death. And as we study, we realize from the beginning of this chapter that he was about to die, but then his death was a unifying death. It was not the death that people are acquainted with or are used to. This was going to be so special. This wasn't even, it's not even worthy to call it death. Unfortunately, we call it death because there is no any other word you will find that is appropriate. It is hard to find a word that is appropriate to describe what was going on. Of course, Jesus was going to die on the cross, but his death was not an ordinary death. Because you see, how can you die? How can you be excited about your death? And he knew that there were things which were going to happen in his death. So his death was a mission. This was a mission. So when we hear about the death of Jesus Christ, we think that he died like any other human being or any other person. But this is not true. His death was a mission itself. See, the birth of Jesus Christ signified something. The life of Jesus Christ signified something. Everything he did, was a message. Even his death was a message. So this was a death like none other. And as we will go deep, we will discover, wow, this is a different kind of death. This was salvation instead of dying. There was salvation that is about to be born. Can you imagine? He's so excited about his death, and he's talking about his death in many other words, using other words to explain the manner and the kind of death he was about to die. So he's talking about being lifted up and drawing all men to him. You see, and he's talking about his death. He's saying that the time has come so that the Son of God may be glorified. He is using death, and yet he's talking about his death, and then he's talking about glorification. Now, how do you connect glorification and death? So it seemed that this death of Jesus Christ was a special kind of death. What was he supposed to do? What was he supposed to produce? What is all about? Well, this is the kind of death that we should not just just read through as we continue. Rather, we should spare some time, put some time aside and examine the kind of death he's talking about, because this is what the salvation of man is. This is so important that you discover your salvation. This is where you discover the kindness of God and the fullness of God. We're going to go deep as we discover more about the kind and the manner of the death Jesus Christ was talking about. Shalom.